In today's class, I am going to cover the chapter The Making of a Global World. Okay. It is very easy. I want to tell you, what do you understand by global warming? Hello. What do you understand by global warming? When you say global warming, what does it mean? The entire world is hotting up. Why? Because of the increase in carbon monoxide gas. Okay, it is increased. There is an increase in the presence of carbon monoxide gas. As a result, the entire world is hotting up. Besides, the ultraviolet rays of the sun is entering the earth or the atmosphere of the earth through the cracks in the ozone layer. Is that clear? Am I right or not? So, global warming, you have understood. When you understand global warming, is not it very easy to understand the making of the global world? What does it mean? It is the construction of the global world. Global means entire world. How did the entire world get formed or constructed? Understood? How did the entire world, the entire modern world, how did the modern world come into existence? What does it mean? Does it mean that there was no existence of the modern world? No, it existed. When the world existed, at that time there was no communication between all the countries. But if you look at the picture of the modern world, in the modern world you see all the countries are connected to one another. Am I right or not? Either by sea routes or railways or planes. Planes from America fly to almost all the countries. Understood? What does it mean? It means nothing is beyond our reach. Everything is within the reach of humanity. Nowadays, we do not dream of a country which is more or less like a fairy land. But in the golden past, I heard my own, aunt, my mother's sister, or even my father's sister. She used to tell us stories, understood, about some people living in distant lands or some other countries. They dreamed of India to be the, happiest land on earth. Why? India is the most beautiful country in the world. It was their dream. It was a dream country. But what happened with the passage of time? Understood, the dream came true. It means which used to be a dream once. What? America was, according to some people living in Europe or European countries, there was no country called America. Before Vasco da Gama or Columbus Pen, understood, discovered America. Is that clear what I'm telling you? That's how it's only came into existence, these countries came into existence only when people conquered them, when people came to know about the existence of those countries. How did they come to know about the existence of those countries? Only because the people in those days wanted to know about the unknown, see the unseen, and explore the unexplored. Their desire to know the unknown, their desire to see the unseen, their desire to explore the unexplored, understood, what? Translated into reality. When they came out of their house, they took sea voyage, understood, they disembarked on a journey in search of the countries that, understood, existed according to their, mythological stories. They might have read some stories in their countries, like our Ramayana and Mahabharata. Even the Greeks had what? Iliad, Odyssey. Understood? There are many people in the world who have got their, holy books and the stories, the books that contain mythological stories, which told them that there were existence of countries that were yet to be conquered by them, yet to be discovered by them. And that was the reason why Columbus, understood, or Vasco da Gama came out of their house in search of countries. that existed beyond their borders. Understood? That is how the search for different countries in the world started, and they ended up discovering. The Portuguese came to India. Understood? Before the Mughal rule. Understood? Before Babar set up Mughal Empire in India, Portuguese merchants entered India. They came to the southern part of India and started business. In the same way, the Americans, clear, did not know about the existence of other countries outside their world. Understood? Outside their continent. But it was only when Columbus, discovered America, they came to know. And that was how the communication between all the countries in the world started. Understood? Now, nothing was far from, the people living in this world. We have become a world with all the countries existing in it. Do you understand? And previously what happened? Before the discovery of America, before the discovery of Asia, before the discovery of Europe, what happened? We did not come to know anything about the existence of these countries. Right? But with the passage of time, we came to know that when the people discovered those countries, we came to know that what? There are many countries that existed. Understood? That's how we have become a global world. How did we become a global world? It is only after the discoveries of new lands, became possible through the tireless work or journeys made by Vasco da Gama, Columbus, many people who came out of their countries in search of the countries that did not, according to those living in their country exist. There are many people in India who did not believe in the existence of countries outside India. But how did the Indians, poor Indians, the original inhabitants of the people living in India, understood? Or how those who did not venture out, those who did not disembark, or those who didn't go out of their countries, come to know? It was possible only through the attempts made by those who were like the businessmen, like merchants. They came out of their house, they wanted to know the unknown, they wanted to discover the what? Explore the unexplored, they wanted to see the unseen, and their desire made them make impossible possible. That's how Columbus discovered America. This is how we have become a global world. Now I want to tell you, see, there are some other very important things. Clear? How did the people from all over the world contribute to the development of a global world? Especially, I must say, Europeans. Europeans entered America after Columbus discovered America. When they went to America, can they discover it with their guns in their hands? If they had the number of people who reached America for the first time after Columbus were few, and few people with few guns in their hands cannot conquer a continent. So all they did was, pox. Pox is a disease. They actually, broke out in Europe. And all the people, a large number of people lost their lives due to pox. Sometimes, rabies, some rats spread some disease, Then some, we have come, our concept of virus, viral attacks, or pox breaking out in epidemic form is clear only after the modern day attack by coronavirus. We know how powerful a virus is when it comes to destruction of humanity. Even the coronavirus, is the reason why the people of the modern world and the modern medical discoveries in the world of modern medical world, understood, discoveries made in the world of medicine, failed to put the virus called corona in check. People in America died like anything. A large number of Americans died, followed by Europe. Europe has lost many thousands, crores of its citizens to coronavirus. Understood? Large number of people lost their lives, isn't it? That's why we know how dangerous a virus can be. So those who entered America understood for the first time, their only weapon they carried with them to conquer a continent called America was virus. Understood? Virus of smallpox. When they entered America, what happened? The Americans were not immune to this disease. Understood? They did not see or fall, victim to this kind of disease or spread of this kind of virus. But the Europeans carried, understood, those viruses with them, because already what? Pox or viral attacks broke out in Europe. As a result, a large number of people lost their lives in Europe. And so what happened? After they took medicine, they succeeded in what? Curing themselves, like we did in India after coronavirus. We took vaccine, they took vaccine, they got vaccinated. After that, they were able to fight this dangerous virus. Understood? So their ability to attack, understood, their ability to get over, understood, the problems, or they were not immune to it. Understood? Who? The Americans. But whereas they had got what? What is this called? The ability to fight a disease. When you have what? Immunity, power, understood. Or besides that, when you get vaccinated, what do you get the ability to fight back against the virus. That's how you survive. So the medicine to cure themselves from the attacks of this particular virus got discovered in Europe, and the people got vaccinated. But the ability to fight against this particular virus were not discovered in America. As a result, the Europeans who entered America were the reasons why the smallpox broke out in America, and it resulted in the deaths of thousands and crores of people in America. And this is why the Europeans found it very easy to conquer America without weapons. That's how they conquered a continent called America. Otherwise, the tribes living there, the Red Indians, they were very dangerous. Clear? They would have put up stiff resistance against the Europeans, and the Europeans would not have conquered America. But thanks to viral attacks, thanks to the outbreak of virus or smallpox in Europe, which these Europeans carried with them, and which became the reason why they succeeded in occupying America without weapon. Understood? How did the Americans occupy Europe without weapons? Because they used what? Virus, smallpox, as weapon to conquer a continent called America. Understood? That's how they took control of America without weapons. But if they had not carried these germs or diseases or smallpox with them, would they have conquered America? No, they would not have. That's how, in the same way, the Europeans conquered Africa. How did they do it? Do you know? Disease. They also carried disease. But here, they took disease for cattle.
For cat.
Cattle
Oh.
means for animal. And what is this disease called? This disease was animal, like smallpox proved deadly killer. Once introduced, it spread deep into the continent, killing several communities and paving the way for conquest. In the same way, Africa was conquered. Understood? Africa, Rinderpest. Rinderpest, the coming of Rinderpest in Africa. The disease is called Rinderpest, Rinderpest. The germs of the disease were carried by infected cattle imported from British Asia to feed the Italian soldiers invading Eritrea in eastern Africa. The Rinderpest killed about 90% of the cattle. Understood? That's how the livelihood of the people living in Africa lost. As cattle was the main wealth of the people, so the loss of cattle destroyed African livelihoods. The African forced into labor, no cattle, no livelihood, only labor left as an option of earning. That's how control over Africa was established by Europeans. Do you get it what I'm saying? So, what is the name of the disease that helped them to conquer Africa? Rinderpest.
Rinderpest.
Rinderpest. R-I-N-D-E-R. Rinder, P-E-S-T, pest. Understood? Control over scarce resource of cattle enabled the Europeans to conquer and subdue Africa. Is that clear? You got how I have told you. Other things that played an important role. Great depression of the Indian economy. There was a great depression on Indian economy. Like impact of the great depression in Indian economy was felt, especially in the agricultural sector. The Indian economy was closely becoming integrated into the global economy. India was a British colony and exported agricultural goods and imported manufactured goods. As the international prices crashed, so did the prices in India. And wheat prices in India fell by 50% between 1928 and 1934. That's how, the Great Depression on the Indian economy was the reason behind that as well. Do you get it? This is how the impact of the Great Depression in Indian economy, understood, played a role. Is that clear? So, all we are learning is, then what happened, how did then what happened? MNCs, MNCs, do you know what is MNCs? Can you tell me what is MNCs? Multinational corporations, understood? Actually, they go to the countries. In England, what happened? Initially, the number of people living in England, understood? After industrial revolutions, what happened? Many instruments got discovered, and the number of people was increasing. Then what happened? They had less amount of agricultural land. Understood? So the government of England found it important to import, understood, food products, rice, dal, wheat, understood, grains, and then the sufferer who fell victim to it, the massive import of essential commodities, made the ordinary people sufferers. Ordinary people, what happened? The agricultural class or the agricultural community, what did they do? Do you know? They requested the government. They said, if you import things, essential commodities, then there is no use, understood, cultivating the land, because we do not get correct price, understood, for our produce, for whatever we cultivate. So you have to stop it. Then the government, what, under the pressure of the business community and the rich landlord, stopped what, importing goods, cheap goods from Asian and American countries. And then what happened? Then again the people of that country started crying. The reason was the people living in that country were not able to afford what? What? The food that they produced in their own country. Because see, I'm telling you, suppose if I buy a kilogram of rice, understood, as a British of the then British England, understood. A kilogram of rice, say for example, I'm just giving an example, cost around 100 rupees. But when they got imported from other countries, the price of 1 kilogram of rice was less than 10 rupees. So, what was affordable to the poorest of the poor, or every section of the society benefited from import, it was within their capacity to buy or avail themselves of all those commodities. Whereas when they cultivated their own food, then they did not afford to buy them. As a result, people started crying or shouting slogan, understood, against the government. Why? For increasing, understood, what? For increase in the import of things, essential commodities. That's how those communities that put pressure on the government, they reversed and they retreated and they requested the government to do the same again. That's how the people became able to afford essential commodities. They became able to do what they could not do earlier. This is how normalcy was restored in. What will be the fate of the farmers who now under these circumstances? What will be the fate of those farmers who did not get adequate price or right price for the products they produced? What will they do? These farmers sold their land. They migrated to cities and overseas to other countries. Why? They went to the countries from where these goods were imported. Understood? There they started doing business there, or this is how the East Indian Company, the trading company, entered India and they expanded their business. They took permit to do business in India from Mughal Emperor Jahangir, and then they started doing business. After that, they fought the Battle of Palasi in 1757. They took control of Bengal, Bihar, Orissa, and they got the opportunity to run our country. This is how they entered into India. They took control of India. This became ruler. They entered India as businessmen and they became ruler. Why? Because of their presence of mind. Understood? When you became the ruler of the country, you became the owner of this continent. You became the owner of this country. Understood? And England began to be called an empire because of expansion of English rule over almost half the territories of the earth, including America. Do you get it? That's how it used to be said that sun doesn't set in the British Empire. Do you get it? Have I been able to explain everything nicely? This is how this happened. After that, you know what happened? The people living in Europe did not afford to, get meat. The poorest of the poor living below the poverty line, they did not get to eat meat. It was not within their reach. What happened? So the Africans, the people from other countries where there was a lot of animals, they started importing animals from other countries. Initially the animals were alive. They were imported alive. As a result, when you are bringing the animals by ships alive, half the ships, half the animals used to die. That's how the companies bringing them suffered heavy losses. Then with the passage of time, the people succeeded in making the ships, understood, with the discovery of refrigerators, the ships became refrigerated, understood. They started bringing what? Slaughtered animals. They used to slaughter the animals before they are brought to their country. They used to bring meat instead of animals. That's how the meat reached every home in Europe. Understood? This is why all the people became happy. So, with the expansion of business, understood, global economy became strong. And two, organization, understood. After the people started having problems in England, the people, understood, in England fought for justice, and this resulted in the making of two organizations, World Bank and International IMF, International Monetary Fund and IMF. Do you get it? And then we began to have technologies also helped, understood, in the expansion of the world trade, understood, technologies or and the business also. Do you get it what I'm saying? Is there any problem? So I'm sure that you have then, the conference that held, if a question may be asked, what is meant by the Bretton Woods Agreement? The main aim of the post-war international economic system was to preserve the economic stability and full employment in the industrial world. And then Bretton Woods Agreement established the following institutions. What institutions were established due to a Bretton Woods Conference? International Monetary Fund, its aim was to deal with the external surpluses and deficits of its member nations. Then International Bank for Reconstruction and Development or of the World. World Bank was set up to finance the post-war reconstruction. Post-war reconstruction is First World War already happened. Understood? After that, just to reconstruct the world, it was done. Do you get it? So the decision making in this institution is controlled by the Western industrial powers. The US has an effective right of veto over IMF and World Bank decisions. As America was a large continent, understood? South America, North America. Naturally, their economy was strong. Even today, American economy is the strongest because of it has got the largest GDP. Do you get it? But these chapters are related. This is the reason I am just teaching you one side by side. Understood? Today I will also start sectors of Indian economy, and you will get to know this. They have a relation. Understood? With each other. This is the reason I am going to start in economics. I am going to start sectors of Indian economy. I will teach half the chapter. I am sure that you will benefit from your knowledge of the sectors of Indian economy. You will get to know what is economy and what role does economics play in your life. Understood? So I think I have more or less made you understood what is what. This chapter you have understood?
Yes.
Anything left? Do you think that you did you find it difficult to understand anything? So I'm sure that you have understood. Is there anything?
No.
Entire world got united. You know what happened? Even if you can ask questions like, which are the countries that played a major role in the expansion of the making of the global world? Almost all the European countries. Spain, Belgium,
Germany.
Portugal, France, Germany. Understood? All these countries, they played an active role. Including India. India was under British rule, and even China also. The noodles that we eat today, there is another name for noodles in European countries, but China was first to introduce this food. Understood? China was first to introduce this food. And the expansion of, what happened with the passage of time, what happened, why did MNCs come? Do you know MNCs? Multinational companies or multinational corporations. They came to those countries where there is cheap labor. Especially they reached, understood, China in search of cheap labor. They came to India in search of cheap labor. The Indian labor got exported to different, they took Indian laborers. There were a large number of people who were poor, and naturally they did not think twice before going with the British in search of opportunities outside India. So many of them joined the British army and fought for the British because it was under British rule. Understood? They had to, and half the people were sent to or were taken to Africa, America, Europe to work in their factories. Understood? Why? Because of what? Labor shortages in those countries. Because they already fought. Understood? In the first, Second World War, and they suffered heavily. As a result, Indian labor was needed, and besides, Indian laborers were cheaper than those living in European countries. Understood? This is the word, just to meet the demands of laborers in Europe, America, and some other countries. They got taken from countries like Asia, especially China and India. Besides, African. African? Initially African didn't get ready to work. For whom? For the British or for other countries. But they became ready to work as laborers. Why? Because of render paste. Because they depended on their own cattle. Their cattle was their wealth. And Europeans entered Africa. They requested the African, you come to our country, I'll give you good salary. But Africans said, we are very happy, better off. With our cattle and all, we do a little agriculture, and our cattle, whatever we want, we get from our own country. So I don't want to work for you people. Then when they took a render paste with them, what happened? Infected cattle from Europe were exported to what? Africa, to feed the Italian soldiers fighting in African country. Do you get it? That's the reason. Hello, listen to me. That's how these people, hello, are you listening to me? Then what happened? Do you know? When 90% of the African cattle died, understood, due to render paste disease carried by the European affected cattle. What happened? When you have lost 90% of your wealth, what will you do? To run your family, you will do whatever others requested you. So Europeans requested them, what? Hello? Europeans requested them to work for them. They went, they got ready, yeah, I can go to America. Are you ready to be ready to go to our countries? Yes, I'll work forever. This is how the Africans started work in the coal mines, gold mines, gold mines, understood? Diamond mines in Africa, in South Africa, in India, in different countries of the world, in Russia, in China, understood? Maybe at that time not in China, but in European countries, in developing countries. Is that correct? This is how the global world, the making of the global world happened. The global world came into existence. I hope if you have liked my video, you please don't hesitate to share it with those who you love, and I'm sure you will benefit from the lecture today. And if your friends do not like it, tell them to feel free to dislike it if they don't. Okay, I'll give you the answers to all the questions. Understood? Thank you.